Hello and welcome to the skating lesson. I'm Dave Lees.
And I'm Jonathan Byer. Hello.
Hello, and Jonathan, before we get started, this is the skating lesson where we share our passion and knowledge of figure skating with everyone. What is this blanket situation going on? You have very interesting blankets. So in your own collection, you have one that's like red that I always said was like a boa, and that I could just like picture you wearing,
It's Tibetan. See, I never know what can be seen in shot and what cannot. So what's the name of the Swedish skater of Russian descent, the male who skated and surprised us with his third place finish in the short here?
You mean Kvitishvili, who's Georgian? Or
No. Sorry. I mean Alexander Majorov.
Oh, Majurev. Yes. Okay, yeah.
If you look closely at the kiss and cry, I actually was thinking of this. His coach is wearing a coat that looks just like this.
I mean, amazing.
Yeah, so I thought it was a nice homage.
Where does one buy a blanket like that?
Where doesn't one buy one like this?
Because that could have been at IKEA. That very nice deco, like no. IKEA definitely has some knockoff versions of the because that's
Dave, do you want me to sign off right now?
No, but that's
Don't
a designer.
Tell me ever again.
Wait, that is a designer.
Like...
Wait, that's a designer who did the pillow, but you know that they make cheap knockoff versions of it.
Oh, this?
Yes.
Oh, this is Kravit, honey.
Okay. But like, you were getting so offended about your blanket. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we're off to a great start.
We are.
Cup of Russia has incited all of us.
She's imperfect, but she's kind. She's not anything like she used to be. You were supposed to sing that for me today, Jonathan. It's all I wanted.
I know. Maybe after we sign off, I'll give you a whole waitress montage.
Can we talk about this? Well, we'll go into that. But like the song choices that the American ladies have when they broadcast their problems. I mean,
one wonders on the outside because it appears to be this cathartic thing, but other times, and we talked about it, of course, with Mariah's "Winner Takes It All," the judges will decide that it's sometimes a bit on the nose. But remember, David Wilson was pushing that for her back in the day.
My only thing about that is that, like, for an exhibition, yes, when you have to go out there and fight, why would you bring up negative emotions?
If Michelle had competed in the Olympics 2 fields of gold, it would have been much more peculiar than it was in the exhibition.
Yes, that's my point about that. I have no issue about being cathartic, but when you have to go out there and fight. So let's talk about it. Everyone wants to talk about it. We originally weren't going to talk about it. I was originally going to give one of those, like, I think we've said everything already. But
you know where we stand. Yeah.
And I have to say, Jonathan, where we stood a month ago, where we stood 2 months ago, you're welcome. Okay, because this was a bad idea, and sorry, I'm just like I'm a little nervous to talk about it because I don't want to be.
I think everyone's nervous to talk about it because it brings up issues of mental health, and
which is important.
Are tough to talk about. It's tough to know how to do about it respectfully and kindly, and it's also important to separate mental health from the other subject matter. And to me, mental health is different than skating and jumps.
Yeah.
And in my world, I've seen people struggle with mental health and come back to opera or come back to football or come back to any business situation. And a mental health journey is personal, and it's painstakingly slow and cannot be rushed. And so it's a difficult thing to navigate.
So full disclosure, I work in communications. People know that, I think. But I work in insurance, and I work for subject matter dealing with behavioral health and substance use disorder. So I know a lot. We write a lot of things about this. Like, I spend a lot of my days doing this. And anxiety, depression, like well-versed, well-experienced. So we said that we never... I never believed that this was a good idea. I thought that this was a red flag. First of all, when we looked at the timeline and when we looked at where she was skating-wise and just the facts of the situation, never thought...
Just to put a pin in it, when you say it's a bad idea, you're not saying, because I know you're not saying this, you're not saying shame on Gracie.
No!
Of course, Gracie may have gone, but you're talking about the decision had to be a collective decision.
Right.
By committees, coaches, federations, and all of that stuff.
I never thought she could be ready to go out and put herself in a positive experience. Positive experience meaning trained, prepared, confident, positive, getting on the plane, feeling like I'm completely prepared. Now, part of it, by the way, part of preparation to be in a positive experience, because you have to realize her last experiences in skating were very negative, very deer in the headlights, doubling everything at nationals, not showing up to nationals prepared, having emotional, crying before the long program in backstage in Kansas City. I mean, really negative, like deer in the headlights, like horrible things that you wouldn't wish on a person, right? Like a trauma.
Yeah.
So I did not, and I said this, and this is because I feel like we take a lot of guff because we said that we didn't think that she should have gone. And it's not that we, in a mean way, like shame on Gracie, it's out of concern for her mental health. So everyone was saying, she's brave, she's brave. And I think that that's a really glib statement. I think that everyone wants to support her, and they want to be like, you're so brave, which is the last thing anyone wants to hear in that moment. They want to hear like, good for you, you look great.
You don't have to do this.
You know?
You don't have to do this if you don't want to.
Do you know how bad it has to be, the situation has to be for Phil Hirsch to be like trying to promote you when you know that you weren't prepared? He knows you're not prepared. And he's trying, like, you could tell he must be very confused and feel some sort of internal responsibility for how he would build her up and tear her down and things like that, when he is trying to be supportive when it's not his nature, and when he is like, that is very troubling. And then
just to be clear also, because when you say not prepared, this is not shaming Gracie.
No,
she should have done more triples, or she should have done something different.
This is the timing. There's
and a personal preparation that has to go in.
Meaning like a year of training to get back.
Prepared to even start training. And I think that was the part that may have been rushed here, and I hope. Like, even the first thing when she comes out with this statement about it's mental health time. I am not doing this long program. And the minute she said it, everyone was like, you'll be great by nationals. You can do it. Like, you try. And I'm like, oh my gosh, skating. It's time to put skating in perspective.
You have to realize that there's an entirely different aspect between getting to the... So what I was saying is that I think it would have taken Gracie with a really smart coach. And this is a huge part of the problem. A really experienced, caring coach who at the same point is going to push her and is going to get her to the rink every day, making every right choice, coming in, like... and I've said this off camera, I don't know if I've said it on, but I know that Yuka is touring, but I really think that, like, for the next 6 to 8 months, year, I think that Yuka Sato and her team would be, like, a really positive, or someone like that. You know, like, Yuka doesn't have this big ego where she feels like she needs to coach a world champion because she's been a world champion. She can go to bed at night. She's not thirsting like Tom Z, right? Like, she's not like thirsting for that student where Tammy's going to go and he's going to go to NHK because he needs that for his personal validation. She's been a world champion. She could guide her and give you all the suggestions and all of this and be like, I will help you, but you have to do the work, right?
And the great thing about someone like Yuka is her brand has been established. Mm-hmm. She's not looking to label herself as anything. And furthermore, then it's only about what is in Gracie's best interests. Instead of seeing someone, parts of this was a very tough thing for me to watch. And I think people misunderstood when I tried to say something on Twitter and then deleted it because I was getting...
People get very protective of lady skaters in particular, especially ones that have been dressed up like a beauty queen. And they want to protect the ice princess and they want to protect Gracie. And we all care for Gracie. But the thing is that there's a way... but then they selfishly want to see her skate. But then they like, but then they think, oh, she just needs to like... Oh, I can't even say that anymore. She just needs... So, all right. She's not prepared. She's not trained to be competitive at this level. That doesn't mean it can never happen. It just means that she's not ready. Could she physically be in better physical condition and be more competitive for nationals? Not at the level of which, like, Gracie Gold would want to be. That would take, like, another 6 to 8 months to a year to really be getting every day. One of the problems is that someone visited her to work on the programs and they hadn't done a full run through yet. She'd never done the program because she's not at that level yet. And that's why we don't think
with the jumps.
With the jumps, right? And you could see that. You could see that when she skated out there. And the practices, she wasn't doing many jumps before.
Or much choreography either.
No, we have seen her. And someone who's seeing her, she was working hard in the summer to get everything back. And so one of the things that a friend who was there coaching at the competition that's held at her rink every summer said was that she went out and did she actually land every single one of those triple jumps? Yes. Did it take her 7 tries to do it? Yes. So
and that's okay.
That's okay. That's reality of getting to back to where you want to be, right? So she can physically do them. Can she do it every time? And skating is a head game. So does she have the confidence to get out there in Russia when Tarasova is sitting right in front of you and go out and do a triple Lutz, triple toe? The first thing to me, like there are so many red flags in this situation where I thought this was a horrible idea. And by the way,
her health,
for her mental health. For her mental health, because you have to realize is that skating, she's a perfectionist. She told us she's a perfectionist. She said she's a nervous competitor. Before, when Gracie was trained for Worlds in 2016, like ready, primed in her life, had never been more prepared, she went out there and in her words bombed. And then I know that, and then in her words, she's now said, well, it was 4th. And yes, it was 4th, but the whole trauma, you know, when she goes out there, she didn't get it done, right? And that she would have a problem putting 2 programs together. Why would you put someone out who hasn't been in skating condition in a couple of years, maybe 2.5 to 3, really has never been back to her 2016 fighting form, you know, competitively, preparation-wise. And really, like, these problems go back even way earlier than that. Like, that was a result of other things. But the sweat lodge, the everything, you know, like, there's so many things here. That were red flags. You have to look back at, so she's not in the form. She didn't do any shows. She went to a show where she was an MC, which means that she doesn't feel ready to even put herself out in a show environment. God forbid someone take a YouTube video of it. You know, La said, when we were talking this weekend, she goes, you know, when you have the nightmare of going to
this is exactly what I felt.
A performance or taking a test. You don't know the words. You didn't go to practice. You weren't in shape. Your voice wasn't ready. You were out smoking the night before because you didn't know you had to perform the next day. That's what this is in skating. You know, like that's what this was for her. And of course, what did she say? What were her own words about this?
So I pulled up her tweet here. And she said,
and I actually don't blame Gracie for any of this, by the way. So before we...
I think this is I think...
But read it first, and then we'll touch on what we think. Okay.
I'm heartbroken to withdraw from tonight's free skate. It was a difficult decision to make, but ultimately I need to put my mental health first and focus on the big picture. Looking forward, I need to keep improving both my physical and mental condition. Let me see where the next one is. And I feel like competing in the free skate would be damaging to both my confidence and mental health going into nationals. I thank you for all your support, and I am so sorry if I have let you guys down.
Which I don't think is any part of this. I don't feel let down by her at all, you know.
At all. And how sad that she would even feel that we would. This is just the start for me, and I know that greater things are yet to come. Thanks for sticking with me. Oh, I'm sorry. I read it out of order. Jonathan. Okay. She also says, I thought checking into treatment last fall was the most difficult thing I've ever done. Pause for me to like weep for this poor, amazing young girl. But skating my short program last night might have topped it. I do not want to undo the tremendous progress I have made in these last few months.
Which is why we didn't think that she should go, because we thought it would be traumatic and damaging. So for people to say that...
Undo the progress she had hopefully been making.
Look at her eyes in that skate when she went out there. I mean, it was... We used to talk about the beetle eyes with Jenny when someone is like traumatized and checked out. When she... That was times 1,000. You know, her eyes told everything. When she went out there, she wanted to be anywhere else before that short program, you know?
And I identify a little bit with some of this behavior. There's always been, I don't want to use the term, this is all armchair psychology based on my own personal experiences with mental health and performance. But there's a masochistic element a bit at times with Gracie. For instance, why would you attend nationals and live tweet it when you're not skating? Why did
That was a huge red flag. When it's for the Olympic team you were supposed to have made and been a huge contender for gold at the Olympics. And why would you go?
Zagreb in 2016.
Zagreb was a huge point when she went and she was not, yes.
These are tough choices, and this unfortunately falls into that category. I'm sure she wanted to.
So I don't think it's masochistic in a way that she really wants to like self-harm, although like who knows. What I get from this entirely in like giving everyone the benefit of the doubt is that she is a type A personality, which I think anyone would agree. She's high achieving and she wants to believe that she can do it. But we know that Gracie is the kind of person who could train 10 out of 10 perfect longs, and it could take her a lot of factors for her to feel like she could go out there and do it. This is more than, just preparation. There's a lot, she has to feel confident and believe that she has done everything to go into this. And the thing is that, and it's why she would sometimes make mistakes in the short and then able to get angry and then prove herself in the long. Like, this is all symptomatic of the same thing.
Or subsequently do very well in the short, let the pressure get to her for the long.
Yes.
There's a lot of things. Skating has to be very triggering, and it's and mental health, this kind of journey and addiction and all these different things we're talking about, like, this doesn't take a couple months.
No. That's the thing. People were like, well, she sought treatment. Okay, so
I guess she's all fine now. I guess it's all fixed.
This is so funny. I'm working on the brochure right now where it talks about someone who's inpatient and we're sending a brochure for outpatient, and you want to send it within the first 7 days after they get discharged, and it's a whole thing for mailing. If you can't get them on the phone, to reinforce, because inpatient is just the start. It's just the tip of the iceberg. It's just keeping you safe and keeping you in a safe place to start the process of the rest of your life, of getting the tools you need to do well. And I think that this is a really thing, is that there was just no way this was going to be. Obviously, part of the huge problem, which we know, is that not only does she have her own problems, we all know, and people didn't want to talk about it, but it's a huge factor here, is the parents. And the fact that her dad lost his medical license, hasn't gotten it back, so the family has huge financial pressures, which is part of the reason why she may have gone out to skate when she wasn't prepared. And, leaving.
Pressure on this girl, probably inflicted from herself, from
yes.
the federation, from fans, from family. I mean, and the thing is, there's something very special about her, and there always has been. But what makes me nervous are all of these people that are then like, look how great she is. She's making jokes, and that's not. And I delete.
So I thought that her nationals.
It's not sass, Dave. It's not sass. It is heartbreaking.
I was heartbroken by her at nationals and her at the Olympics, trying to be sassy, because that humor came from a really dark place. That wasn't lighthearted. That was like really troubling.
Self-deprecation in a way that she meant it. Like, yeah. I'll occasionally in a rehearsal and be like, oh, well, Jonathan, if you want to be terrible, just keep doing that. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
And that's very different than the kind of pointed, hurtful, the whole thing. It just puts skating in perspective for a moment. Also because we have had such a wonderful Grand Prix up until now, and this was kind of the event that the energy was just off for.
But we felt it coming, like.
Yeah. But this skate in particular, it weighed on me throughout the day.
Well, I felt really
a lot of stuff for a lot of people.
I felt for her a lot, and I felt for her for months. But what I really felt is that she's high achieving. She's trying to get back. You also have to realize, and this is not to attack her. She's been brought up as a child star. She was brought up as the local girl with talent. She was brought up as the more talented kid in her family. She's the one.
Last name Gold. Oh my
God. With Grace Gold. Grace means Grace. She's had all of that. She's had the agent putting her in the American Airlines or United Airlines commercial, and all of the stuff put on her, right? And this happens in skating all the time, and we could even see it with Ashley after the Olympics and at the Olympics. When you are no longer the girl on top of the podium, it feels like you're no longer relevant, and then it feels like you no longer matter. So there's
horrible for someone who struggles with
mental health and everything. Yeah.
and maybe put her self-worth in results.
It's not just that you don't get invitations to the shows. No one talks about you. No one knows how to approach you in the rink. People don't know, and you get all these like weird comments on Twitter. People, that's every day of your life where people don't know how to talk to you, or they say weird things, and you know that they're talking about you. We were all watching Rostelecom. How many people do you really think expected that Gracie was going to go out and do well? I said to a friend, like, I feel like we're about to be like in a where were you situation when that short program was happening. You could tell it from the practice sessions when she was marking, and you could tell she had never really done a run through of that performance. Horrifying, like
it's about delusion, and not in the way that like some people may think low-level American skaters are real viable options for a world medal or something like that. This is about safety and practicality, and that's...
So this is the other part, is that we're really, at the end of the day, what really bothers me about this situation, what has really been troubling, in addition to U.S. figure skating, because there's a whole thing, is like she was definitely courted by the rink in Aston to come and train and coach, and they, for a business point, of course you want the girl to come, and they're helping her, and they're being really supportive and giving her opportunities, and it's not from a bad place. However, she is a coach. We just got to be really honest about it. And I don't know how much to say without getting ourselves in trouble again. So people noted, they picked up on something in the kiss and cry. And what some people said is, oh, why didn't they hug her? And like that, again, why didn't they, whatever. Like that's another thing, but that's just like, they're seeing something that they don't quite get with the body language and the demeanor, and they're not really sure what's happening. So there's this thing where people are like really thirsty for success. So Vincent Restoncourt, you have to realize, how many rinks has he been to in the last couple of years? We saw him...
Even as a competitor, reading a lot of those very edgy articles he would write about the French Federation. And
why doesn't he coach in France?
Right.
I don't know how to search legal records in France, but I know that there's stuff there. So, and that's... that some of our French, viewers have confirmed, people from the Federation, like, yes, that is correct. And there's a lot there. He has not had any reports in the U.S. to our knowledge. There have been stories. There have been red flags raised. It's automatically a red flag when you go from Monument to Tammy, then you're no longer with Tammy, and you're coaching Ting, and then Ting's dad fires you, and that's another situation too. But this is someone who doesn't have their personal and professional life in order, right? So then how are you supposed to be guiding
someone who needs guidance more,
who needs expert guidance, right? So maybe Frank is not the right person because he's old school and he's going to be like, well, Gracie, you can't get out there. But someone should have guided her and say, you're not ready yet, hun. Like, we're going to keep working and we're going to get there, but this is not the first step. It's okay.
It's okay to take time. It's okay to cancel nationals. It's okay to try nationals if you feel confident and want to skate your very sad song to Waitress the musical, because it means something to you in a beautiful way. Katarina Witt, 1994, came back completely irrelevant competitively, but had something to say and felt confident in doing so. And if that was the case, no, I wouldn't dissuade her from doing it if I felt like skating a non-competitive but important program for her to skate was in the cards. But
so I actually think Gracie could be really competitive again, but I think it's going to take time. I think it would take 14 months, 16 months, 18 months of really hard work every day, putting in, having someone like a Megan Duhamel be like, let's go do the off ice. Let's go eat healthy. Let's go do this. Let's get to bed on time. Let's do this. And have someone like, this is the kind of things, because you could tell that there were unhealthy habits before that led to everything. So she has to like relearn everything. That's, and how we're going to prepare and not let the pressure get to us and just trust everything and trust the process. And that's what's been missing, and that's what's always been missing, right? Like, this is not just like yesterday. So when Gracie says, remember when I said, and when we went to Soul Cycle in 2015 and she was wearing a sweatshirt, like, to me, that was like, okay, there's like a red flag here, and then there's a red flag when they're doing the sweat lodge thing, because that's kind of like old school, like problematic things.
Problem solving.
Right. Bad problem solving, that's nonsensical, not working, right? So I just think that it comes in. You need an expert coach. Vincent Restoncourt, who's desperately trying to be relevant, to have a career, to have a top skater who won't leave him. He just had Ting, and now she's gone. He has no one. He's been to a million different rinks. He's not the one that's going to stop Gracie. He needs her more than she needs him in many respects. You know, she needs a coach, but she doesn't need him. The intermediate ice dancer who is happy to get a trip to Russia, you know, like that's not going to help her out either. They're not going to be the ones to say no because they want to be seen in the kiss and cry to get more students, right? So, and then when they look shell-shocked because they know that that's not a good look on them, that just happened on the ice, you know, like they don't, then how is that going to look? You know, like for them that, oh, you were the one.
She was left, it was again,
heartbreaking to see.
It was heartbreaking to see that even in the kiss and cry, she was alone and self-deprecating, and
laughing
between laughter and tears, and
out of body in a shell-shocked way, you know, in a traumatic shell-shocked way. And that was why we said all along that we didn't want to go, so that when people, it really bothers me when people are like, oh, she's brave. And if someone said this to me, coming back to skating, that's brave. Absolutely. Competing in Russia, that's stupid. And that is the way I really...
And again, not on her. I understand.
Not on her, on the whole system.
On a federation that thought it was a good idea.
So
on a coaching team that thought it was a good idea.
She was invited by, because she's a returning champion, she's invited by the host committee. So the USFS couldn't pull it themselves. But there's a lot of things they could have done. They've pulled all sorts of shenanigans with all sorts of people before. And obviously, she did warm up in the 20-minute warm-up the day of the free skate. So there was a video of her with pink gloves, which she wasn't wearing in the other videos. So who knows what really happened? But Mitch allegedly did go and watch her and told her that she didn't have to go to Russia and that she could still have a bye to nationals by the rules because they had awarded her the bye. Honestly, I think the USF should have said, we'll pay you not to go. Let's have a training plan. You want to keep down this path? I'll give you $2,500 a month extra if you send us 5 short programs, 4 long programs every week on video. You send it to this email address. We will keep funding you. Boom. Like that, you would need to do, like, and just say, keep on this path and we can work together and everyone can.
Because someone in this predicament, you know, when they say, you know, after big life moments.
I feel really angry about it. And I don't feel angry at her. I feel angry at the people and the situation. And
the lack of an adult in the room, as it had been.
And even in social media, even in the reporters, like the Nick McCarvilles, the Jack, who are being like, and I don't blame Jackie, he's trying to be supportive, and they have like zero, but like, there's a glibness to Nick McCarville. There's a glibness, you know, like, and then you see Phil doing that, and it's so awkward, and it's really just troubling.
Well, it's brushing. It's again in.
And they think that they're being supportive by saying, "Go out there, Gracie, go to nationals." Oh yeah, so she's gonna get last at nationals and be in the last group. How's that gonna look? And how's that gonna feel for a girl?
How's it gonna make her feel?
Yeah.
Yeah. In a world where there's so much emphasis right now on talk about mental illness. You talk about it. You talk about people's journeys. I was like, oh, this is why they have to say we need to talk about it, because all of this, like, good, the first step, you know, or the
first step.
This trip begins with first step. And I was like, you are not talking about mental illness. You are sweeping it under the rug and pretending
you're more of the problem. You are more of the problem.
After an injury or something. Now, you bring up a really important point that comes up with a lot of skaters, and we know a lot of them that this has happened to personally and just from afar. When you leave the sport, whether it's permanently, whether it's right before you could have done something big, or it's in the midst of whatever. There was a cellist, Jacqueline Dupre, who's one of my favorites. It's a bit basic to love her, but there was a movie that came out that was over Hollywood and all this sort of stuff, and it was called Hillary and Jackie. And so she goes to a cocktail party, and she tells herself she's not going to play the cello there. And no one responds to her. And then finally she's like, oh, fine, I'll go grab my cello. And the minute she grabbed her cello and just started playing, everyone glommed onto her. And she became a focus, and she received attention and love and validation and all of these sorts of things. And it was a powerful scene in the movie, whether or not that was how anything happened in real life, because it was further ingraining she only has this to offer, and if you're not doing this, people aren't interested.
They're not. You become, what happened? Oh, so sad. She used to be so good. Look at her now. You know,
Right.
which is really disturbing. And look, I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. The biggest thing to me, you talk about first steps. The biggest red flag to me, Gracie Gold was attempting her old short program content, Jonathan, which the triple flip, which she could barely do in the short program on her best day of her life.
Right. Well, like when Paulina came back, she at least was like, you saw they were at least trying to build a comeback plan.
Gracie, to me, a first step would be going out there and doing the Michelle Kwan short program content. Do her best jumps, triple Lutz double toe, double axel. We'd be in reality. We would be in like what?
And that's a first step.
And that will be the first step at the Philadelphia summer competition, at the show, at this. Not putting you in prime time when you're not completely ready. So now everyone's like, oh, take your time and be ready. These are the same jerks who were pushed her to go out and do it. And
the same people that are then like, okay, but what about nationals? She can be fine by. And
it's the same fans too. It's the same people. They're all part of the problem.
Nationals?
Yeah.
Shame on you for caring about if she goes to nationals right now. I hope she does whatever she wants and whatever she needs in order to be truly happy. And the skating doesn't matter. She has worth without it. You know what I mean? So
she could never skate again in her life and have succeeded and have been happy and Anyway, moving on because I just could get irate, but it
broke my heart.
It was a horrible experience that we could all see coming. That was entirely preventable. So. Yeah, that was a lot, but I'm glad.
What else happened at Cup?
I'm actually glad that we talked about it honestly because I didn't want to talk about it at all, and that because I was like, we're gonna get in trouble. We're gonna get blamed for other people's emotions, and you know that I didn't post any of her programs even there because I'm like, I don't know. I'm like someone. And
don't invite it,
The comments that are on the clips about her and that you see on tweet, there are comments about weight, there are comments about all sorts of stuff, there are comments about, and I'm like, you know what, like. I don't want to be responsible for that discussion even happening.
For that kind of bile.
I mean, do you know that there's a video of her on YouTube right now comparing her best short program and her worst short program, and that someone thought that was appropriate, and that's what happens when someone goes out to Russia before they're ready, and they're Gracie Gold. Like they're not, the 10th place skater at the sectionals who gets to go and no one will even look or remember who they were. Like this is someone that was a big deal. So anyway, that was probably going to get us in trouble. But you know what? I have zero regrets talking about it because that was...
Yeah, because I truly stand by my belief that a young woman, a very talented, a very special young woman, her well-being far transcends...
And we need to put a good team around her in life, you know? Shame on you, Mitch. Shame on you, Vincent, who should have... grabbed your cojones and put your foot down and stop this situation before it happened. So, anyway, moving along. Zagitova did very well here. So, I have to say, beautiful girl. I was rewatching Peggy Fleming, the way she talked about Katarina Vett at the 1984 Olympics. Go watch it if you've never. Peggy's commentary. You know, they were in their she was in her black gown. Dick was in his black tie in the tux, and she's like, Katarina, such a naturally beautiful girl, natural beauty. Such a shame the choreography isn't the same. You know, and it was like something along those lines. This Carmen, Jonathan, it's so sloppy. But she is a beautiful girl. Beautiful dress, talented girl. But again, the crossovers that
Good spinner.
Great spinner. Such a fast spinner, actually. Good positions. Work. You could tell she trains. You could tell she trains harder than probably any of us have ever imagined a human training before. They just don't focus on the things that they could. They're not worried about the crossovers. They're not worried about teaching the skating. The hunch, the whole time. The way, and people are like, why is she struggling at the jumps? How many times do we have to talk about how a Terry's technique doesn't last? And the second a girl becomes a woman and it starts to leave, they're like, is she going to be the next Yulia, the next the next Evgeny? What do you think? You know, like...
100? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like the next Shelapan, yes, we've seen this before. And what is a Terry? How is it going to affect her life? She'll have the next girls doing quads next year. So she's like, yes, I'm still getting my checks, so who cares?
And something like the posture with, I'll call her a student, she's not a student, but she will take the information as a student to heart and really work on it.
Have you ever seen how beautifully Sotnikova skates now after winning the Olympics? Like, she's she's 10 times the skater she ever was before. And she didn't even learn that until before. And Katerina Witt became a much better skater after both Olympics as well.
But that was Sandra.
But she, and the same way Averbuk actually helped Sotnikova after she, went to the shows. So this is the same thing. This girl could be skating with long-term promise and everything that, and I think she's actually has a lot of really special qualities on the ice. The 17 music cuts to Phantom of the Opera with the glass breaking and the arms going in the footwork and the skating skills. Her skating skills are better than Evgenia's, but they're not where they need to be.
Utilized, and some of the things she could do are detracted by the flailing.
Yeah.
So it becomes a bit difficult.
The flailing into the flip, causing the pop, and there's a lot going on here. Like there's a lot. Like it's holding steady for this year. You give that 14 months, and I want to revisit it and see where are we.
Although, I mean, as a musician, it is kind of comical, even though it's not comical. The two is fine. When she fell on the flip, and it coincides with it in the music. Like it unfortunately sounds like sound effects at times when people fall in the wrong spot. And they do this. There's a lot of coach acting that's happening by the boards these days. I find Brian Orser charming. I don't know how much of that is genuine or for show at this juncture. But really, Danny G has started doing it as well, and they showed him getting, fed up with Zagitova when she was making, those small errors in the Carmen, as if she had done it on purpose or something, and it's just kind of.
I think it's just a frustration too. At the same point, and you're out of control. But and it's a different culture, and look at Roth. That was the greatest reaction during Eunsoo. When flipping out over a step out and a double axel. Just right. So
it's just as long. It's just like maybe because of the energy of the event.
Yes, because how groups together react more demonstratively when you're a part of a crowd as when you're by yourself. I think it's the same way when you're at the Cup of Russia and you're downtown and everyone's dressed up, and today I'm dressed up like Trankov at Skate America, but the backyard barbecue of events.
Of events, yeah.
I hope you've enjoyed our Instagram stories, trying to bring it the last few days, Jonathan.
They have been excellent, Dave.
We're really doing the good work. Anyway, I think that Zagitova, I'm really curious to see how she'll stack up in 4 months against Rika Kahira when they're head-to-head at the end of the season. That's going to be The
only thing that concerns me is there's been a lot of talk now about Rika Kahira, and I am anxious to see her do it again.
Well, again, that's another...
Yeah.
In her career, that's another step.
I would love for Rika Kahira to be like a mainstay in that conversation, but we're not... I don't know that she's the mainstay. I want her to.
By the way, so we had a Teespring thing, and there was a Zagitova fan who filed so many complaints that we don't like her and whatever, and that's why we're bagging the whole thing. Anyway, the whole mugs and situational. It's completely just not dealing with it, not dealing with the fandom. So, I really actually like so many aspects of her skating. People think that if we talk about her posture, we don't like her. I like her spins. I like her fight. I like her jumps. I love the triple H triple loop combination.
Yeah.
Having a criticism about her programs, which is nothing to do. That's the I don't think she has any part of that. People are so misguided. It's just.
It's a criticism on the team, not on her, because like we mentioned, she clearly is one of the hardest working people I've ever seen.
Yeah.
In sport. So all she would have to be do is told, and I know she would do it.
Yeah.
It's just about priority.
Send her to Frank in the desert and have her he'd be like, Alina, skate with your arms up.
You're too loud. You're too loud. He'd be like, well, I don't know why you're skating with your hands. Yeah.
I feel like he smelled something.
When you're in the position of Thierry Zagitova, Danny, Sergey are in, you can steer the sport.
Yeah.
You have the ability.
Because they'll give them the marks no matter what. They have the
direct
politics on their side. They have the momentum on their side.
Now's your chance. Turn the sport into what you hope for it. Because
I was watching, do you think that Terry watches the Phantom program or the Carmen and it's like, that's beautiful?
No, I think she's looking for results.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think she's looking for points, results, and doesn't care. I think that she does see it, actually. I really believe that she does, and I believe Danny does too, but that they just don't. They don't care.
Why would you change it? You know what I mean?
Please. Do you think she got another Chanel jacket or purse after the Moscow competition? Probably. Why would you stop it? Why would you risk it?
Quick comment on the ice itself.
Yeah.
The Rostelecom logo was on both sides, and there was all of this stuff in the middle with Moscow and huge design.
So I think you spot Tarasova, and that's how you have your perception, because they put her right back by the ice.
I know. I love that she was sitting center ice with headphones,
being like Zdorova. Did you see her before Zagitova went out and she was doing her cheering Zdorova, No,
she kept yelling "Brava" too.
Brava, brava, but they say
she was the feed I watched then as a result. Yeah,
which is so wonderful.
It's wonderful.
Oh my God! I talked to my coach afterwards, and after this short program, I called Natasha, and she was like, "Dave, I don't know these coaches. Who is Vincent Reston? Oh my God, they have a problem. I don't know this person." And I was like, "Thank you, Natasha. Thank you.
Thank you."
Dave, I sit and watch program all day." Hi, Natasha. Thank you.
Hi, Natasha.
Trenkov. She's saying Gracie doing everything at home, but not here. I was like,
I guess not so much.
Oh my God!
But I found, especially when some of these skaters, maybe not the one you just mentioned, but when other skaters were creating real moments on the ice, it was a bit distracting. Especially in ice dance or pairs, to have this beautiful moment between two people just drowning in logos.
Well, let's be honest. When Tarasova commentates like Johnny and Tara, she is the show. Let's be honest. It is the Tatiana hour, and it is. And Natasha will always be like, "I watched Tarasova. She explained everything. She's saying, that is the way it's taught."
Yeah, it's the end all be all. Yeah.
I watch her. She explained everything. But then they.
Can she explain Turzenbayeva's air position then?
That is. It bends.
I've never seen anything like that with the knees. Yeah, okay.
It's not cute, but it's... Michael, I think we have a package or something. I would just go check it. Someone is here. We just got a...
Sound the alarm. We're talking about...
Ring the alarm.
Russia.
Okay. Mike, I think at the front door, you would go answer and you would say hello. He is looking, peering out the window. Sorry, everyone. I think you need to know.
Good.
Oh, they're doing volunteer. I thought it was a Jehovah's Witness. Okay. Anyway.
You'd love some of these dresses.
Oh, man. So, let's moving along. I think that I'm really intrigued by Sofia from Russia. I really think that this is where we are moving along for... Mike, I think the viewers want to know who was at the door.
I think they were Jehovah's Witnesses.
They were Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay, thank you, everyone. Yes.
Okay. Please stop sending them to my home.
I don't need a watchtower this week. That's okay. Okay.
We're supposed to say we're Catholic.
We're supposed to say we're Catholic, Michael. I know. That's okay. My mother would have just shut the door or not answered, So, anyway, you did the right thing. Anyway, let's moving along. So, this has been quite the show. We're just going to leave this in, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Oh, thank you. Michael, shut the door all the way. You had a shining moment the last time on the show. Okay. Okay. Oh, my goodness. What I deal with to put on the skating lesson.
Things have taken a turn.
Things have taken a real turn. Oh, my goodness.
This is normally where you edit and then everyone thinks it's because we're saying something scandalous, but really it's just a...
It never really is, by the way. I can edit myself. We're not giving, the...
Not epic. Yeah.
No. So... Anyway, Dustin Muniz always thinks that we're saying really scandalous things. And I'm like, No, sometimes like the connection goes or something happens. You know, it's not.
That's why I'm trying the window background.
I like it.
Background.
I feel like we're at home with Jonathan talking about skating.
Yeah, fireside chat about skating. Okay.
It reminds me. Remember the guy who used to paint on TV? Like I would
Bob
like.
Ross? Well,
Yes.
sadly, like if I don't get my hair under control sometime soon, it's gonna really go there.
My grandfather used to have his tapes. And talking about OCD in the family, Edmund Roman, he was a painter, right? So it was an artist, but he used to, when he taught himself how to paint, because you know, like how I'm very like, he used to tape all of Bob Boss's things off of TV, and he would number them and then put in a book what he was painting each day. So there used to be VHS tapes in my grandfather's basement. It used to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, and it would be like there was a notebook that explained what all of them were, like tape 79, Bob Boss. Yes.
Dave, you didn't have a chance.
Didn't have a chance, you know.
You just didn't have a chance.
This is where and then my other grandfather used to make lists of everything too. So I come from intense people. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So
so then do you think our Russian girl, do you think her grandfather also skated with his arm like this on every jump?
So here's the thing about her skating to Christina Aguilera. Christina's been through some messy periods. This program goes in and out and in and out. Like she's giving it, then she's not, then she's just focused on the jumps, then she's like singing Christina Aguilera. She's clearly quite talented. And
I'm just intrigued, especially by the arm, because we learned, right, and you have to clarify me because you are my new ISU rule guru. The arm aloft the head, it's no longer the automatic point getter that it once was.
So there is one of the 3 additional bullets says body position, but it doesn't say whether body position means this, whether it means this, whether it means a beautiful Frank Carroll body position. It doesn't say, and that's for the judge to use their own discretion. So
because for me, that's far uglier than you doing a beautiful jump.
So by the way, I have tried to do the Lutz over my head, and mine looks like that, just like naturally when you try to like throw it up and do it, and you're not doing it like Brian Boitano. Oh my God, we have to talk about Landover. Random aside, Jonathan. I think that our biggest contribution to the sport, we need to bring back Landover.
Yeah, I think so.
We are the only arrogant enough people to do it. We could wear black tie.
Great.
I won't let Johnny and Tara commentate the event and ruin it, so we can invite Johnny to skate in it. And that's how we get them away, so he can't be on the broadcast. Tanith can commentate it. That would be fine. I would like Tanith and Sandra, by the way. I would prefer Sandra, like, out there.
I think Mark Henready is being
groomed
in. So I need Mark Henready with Sandra and to see what happens.
And Tanith, the 3 of them together. And Terry Gannon can be there. It can be a panel discussion. I don't care. We can put people in different roles. Tanith could be interviewing. Who cares? This is a great thing. We want to get all the people. So, I was rewatching because I interviewed Kurt Browning and I was starting to prepare for how I'm going to edit and what I'm going to show. The 1995 Landover Artistic Program Competition, Jonathan. Landover, to me, in the 90s was more entertaining than the World Championships or the National Championships. And frankly, you didn't have to watch Angela Nikodinov skate to Cinderella. So I think it was better in many ways. All right. We had Kavarakova and Novotny. Or was it really Kavajakova? But I'm not Czech. I never claimed to be. When she skated into the lights, and the lights, do you remember when she skated into the lights?
In the Phantom of the Opera?
Right.
You know, that clip is so hard to find where the entire track lighting...
It's on Hyacinth B. It's at 15:46 in the long video, by the way. Go watch it.
Oddly specific. Okay.
Oddly specific. And oh my goodness. When he's they're just tracking, and then didn't they win the competition because they got to reskate?
And Sandra was so angry, wasn't she?
Yes. Sandra...
It's totally unfair that they get to start over again entirely instead of where they ran into the line.
And by the way, I didn't realize Colleen O'Connor is judging, and she was an Olympian in ice dance in the 76 Olympics. and from the U.S. and I saw her at nationals, and she used to coach. She coaches in Morristown, where I used to skate before work at Menin on Fridays when I worked up in Parsippany. And like I didn't know that this coach in the ice was like a big deal ice dancer, and we would just like be high and cordial, and she would watch me skate my program at 6:00 in the morning before work, because that's the kind of person I am. So Jonathan, I think, and I was an adult skater on the ice with like 9-year-olds, 8-year-olds, and by the way, and they would be like, look at how hard he is working, you know, like, do your program. So Colleen O'Connor was sitting next to Tyler Cranston as they're taking the stone and trying to work on Radka's blade. I mean, this is an event. Then we have Brian Boitano skating remember Kurt Browning skates to Brick House.
And the leather pants.
And remember, Brian Boitano had never lost at Landover. This was like his moment, like his ego, like you could feel it. And he would be skating. He comes out in like a Robin Williams shirt. Do you remember this program?
And the flowy shirt and then the black pants.
Skating to Seal. Don't be so hard on yourself. And he's like...
It was almost like a knockoff Versace he was wearing.
Oh... Yeah. Maybe the greatest figure skating event of all time. Hands down. No, then Jonathan, you have to watch this hour and 30. It's a little shaky. Like, it's going like this on Hyacinth B's camera. I don't know what's happening. But the ice dance competition alone, I don't know what anyone else is doing on Sunday besides, like, you know, our comment section on YouTube. Okay. Maya Usova and Alexander Julin skate to the Bells of Moscow.
Yes.
She is wearing a hood, and you can see her thong through her lace onesie. Amazing body. Like...
Wait, pause. Since we're just completely, apparently have run out of Adderall, I will also say that I sat next to Maya Usova at 1990. When did Michelle debut Zalame?
95 Skate America, Jonathan. Right. How is it even a question?
I was sitting in this, well, because I forget which part, I was sitting next to Maya Usova in the second row at that Detroit Skate America, and Nabui
Was
Sato,
she skating the Marlboros that she would do the ads for in Russia?
She just sat by herself like this in a huge fur coat, and I was like, oh, come on. I was like, you don't want to still compete? Like, this is some horrible, like, 12-year-old kid was like, ah. And she was like, oh, no.
With that, she is my goal interview. If anyone knows where she is, by the way, I think she is the most gorgeous. She's like the Russian version of Tessa Virtue. Like, she is the dramatic Russian Tessa Virtue we all want to be. I could watch those videos of her and Sasha that instructional video when they teach us how to do cross strokes all day. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen in my, the most beautiful.
Well, and it's interesting you bring up this early ice dance, because when all of a sudden we have someone named Bukin and someone named Ponomarenko on the podium.
These are his parents.
Someone else is being coached by Julin. I was like, this is such a nostalgic.
This is why everyone needs to watch this event, because there were a lot of skaters watching our Instagram story. By the way, I track who watches all of it. By the way, Nathan Chen loves our Instagram story. He watches it all day long, every day. Anyway. So, and Olivia Smart, love her. She's a big, she's very supportive. She likes Eunsoo Lim a lot, by the way.
How could you not?
We'll get
Unless
to that.
You're off after the short, but okay.
So, they're skating to the Bells of Moscow. Usova puts a mask on him at the end of the program. And then Tom Hammond goes, much like their personal relationship. Wait, no. He talks about how they are divorced, right? How they used to be they used to be married, now they're divorced. And Sandra goes, much like their personal relationship, it was dramatic, it was melodramatic, and something else. And you're like, and she was like, and I think you either love this or you leave it confused. And it was just and we have to remember, they used to film Landover in one night. It was a one night. Skating fans used to be there for 8 hours. And Mike was like, how could they sit there for that long? And I'm like, how could they? I would be anyone went to Landover, let us know. Was there a dinner break for the audience? Like, what happened?
It's like a Wagner opera. You have to build in, like, in-house...
And everyone was in, like, black tie. And remember the little lights that they used to have, like, on the judging table that looked like the little lights in Congress?
Desk lamps.
Yeah, the little desk lamps that they would have. Oh, my God. And Frank Carroll would be judging 9.9. And who was the announcer? 9.8. 10. Like, that is how we used to do it.
That was what okay, should we not even call this Rostelecom Cup?
You know what, Jonathan? You really need to pop Klimova and...
No, because I want to add because then the scores came up for Nancy after you posted her, like, double combo, and she's getting 9-7, and I was like, well, I guess it's a pretty generous panel.
And Sandra was like, she may not know what the other women are doing.
Christy and the flip.
Oh my goodness, Christy and the flip. Sometimes Christy had a couple rough short programs at Landover. Sorry, Christy. Sometimes you did. But you never looked prettier than that La Coupe dress that you always competed poorly in, but it was so pretty. Like the black one with the red ruff, that was the greatest skating dress of all time. It was on the cover of Figure Skating for Dummies. That was the dress. That's my favorite skating dress ever that Jeff Billings ever did. So, and her lipstick was perfect, and the whole thing was like, oh my, amazing. It was Christy against Yuka, and then Nancy skating to Irish Heritage, Celtic Heritage, whatever. That program where she'd be like, da 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 da.
Jiggy, yeah.
Oh my God.
With it.
In like the slip dress that was like green. Oh man. And skating to Starlight Express in the short. So Klimova and Ponomarenko are doing the Romeo and Juliet, and are they still married? No one seems to know.
Because we hear from her a bit. You know, she was
with Paulina.
Was around Paulina in Boston in 2000.
But when you see her, I will never forget them skating to Romeo and Juliet with the 90s battery-operated candles that they used to skate with on the ice that Tarasova choreographed.
She dies right between the two of the candles.
Yes! And then, of course, you have Torvill and Dean skating to Cecilia, and of course they win, because it's the World Professional Championships. So anyway...
First we have to keep making amends for Lillehammer.
Okay. And Dick, remember, if you read Scott Hamilton's book, he believes that Dick Button would kind of pick the winners, because he would be in the judging meetings with the referee and would guide how things would... We're not inviting Scott to Landover, by the way. He's not interviewing anyone. Unless we have to get it on TV, that's the only reason I would invite him. Anyway, aside... And
so that was a recap within a recap.
You know what?
2 for the price of 1.
There will be a couple people who will complain, and then there are people who go watch, and then they will thank us. So if you go and watch, then give us your comments below.
Well, I'm so appreciative of whoever does those timestamps. So if you need to skip Landover, or maybe you exclusively want to watch Landover.
It was better than Rostelecom this weekend. So anyway, moving on. So Sofia, by the way, I think that... Christina Aguilera Russian as opposed to the Pearl Russian, because there are so many of them. This is how we're going to explain to people. One is Konstantinova, one is Samodurova. I think that it's going to be a really exciting Russian nationals. And by the way, she's pushing for the world team. So I think that Evgenia now has to go to Russian nationals. I know they were trying to strategizing that she shouldn't have to go. I think she needs to go. And I think that if she doesn't show, it looks bad on her. I think she has to go. I'm sorry, Brian Orser. I think she's got to go. I think that I want to see them because there are 4 ladies that are all worthy of competing, in my mind, at Europeans.
Per the usual.
Yeah.
Now the thing that interests me is her connection to Mishin, who, of course, we know how incredible his jumping technique. We see how exquisite Elizaveta's Lutz and these kinds of edge jumps are. So what surprises me is in a time when the arm over the head is not necessarily getting you the bullet points you may have needed it, to get before. I'm surprised he tolerates this, given his...
Are you really? Has this been a man of taste before? That if you really...
In jumps, he has been a man of taste, in my opinion. Now, the program seemed right in line with what I might have expected, but the arm aloft surprised me because I thought he would have taken that away from a jump aesthetic standpoint. Yeah. That's all.
Exactly. But I have to say, I think she's great competitor and exciting to watch and different and a personality. And we like that.
Leads a bit with the head, eh?
Leads a bit with the head. You've been watching Jenny's Instagram channel. She really likes the...
And once you point something out like that, you cannot unsee it. Like when La mentioned the Hanyu at the time looking down, or these sorts of things. Once, unfortunately/fortunately, once someone points something like that out, it is very rarely unseen for the rest of my time viewing them. Yeah.
So, Eunsoo, Jonathan, you may have seen my reaction in real time. She landed the Saukow. I was pretty excited about it. I didn't know it could happen. I think she's getting better. And I think it's going to take all year to get her the experience. Like, I don't think she's going to compete for the medals this year. I think we're going to go for a top 5 finish at Worlds. And then next year we're going to be...
She's doing it just right. Slow and steady is going to win this race for her. And what I will say is the elegance she brings to skating, that we respond to the skating skills, the lovely quality she's bringing.
The Lutz.
To me, she doesn't have to do Chicago. To me,
I like it.
I think she's doing it. She's doing it well. I just think it's a misuse of what makes her special. Like to me, you just wait. I think if she starts going in a bit more of a lyrical, just traditionally elegant, gorgeous.
But don't you like that she's got the versatility? She can give you the lyrical and the short, and she can give you that nowadays.
I'm ready for balletic from her.
You know what, Jonathan? I really respond to her Chicago program.
In
the
great.
Step sequence.
She's great. So I would respond to her whatever.
Jenny wants her to smile, and she wants us to note that. So
okay, I think her best stylistically is yet to come.
And I think she's Velma, but again, she said that she wasn't, but she does have that more Velma energy. But Jenny said, why is Velma skating to Roxy? Whatever. You know what? This is like...
If you knew about the story, you'd never do that on the last name anyway. So.
Okay. Anyway.
But she's gorgeous, and I look forward to seeing where she grows artistically.
How about Roth and the Kiss and Cry being like, you did a good short last week, good free this week, now we put them together. And he was like, I was like...
Which for him was really positive. He must really like her.
He likes her.
Because normally he would have said, you ruined the free last week, you ruined the short this week, what are you doing?
I like him. Even his snarling. Like, I'm like, oh, it's rough, you know?
And, she laughed it off with him.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just very much looking forward to...
Because she agrees, okay? When you're someone like that, that's the thing.
Oh, and I wanted to ask you, okay, so when she does her loop takeoff, and sometimes on the, I didn't quite get I'm unfamiliar with that version of the takeoff. Okay. And when she does, I think it was the Lutz, or it was the flip. I'd have to go back and really write down which one it does. She almost crosses her legs like I do after I'm done bowling. You know, when you like bowl and you put your leg, it stayed behind her for a much longer time than I'm accustomed to.
Roth has a really interesting technique, and I don't know if you've ever noticed it it's not just on the axle. You can really see it at his theory of jumping.
The axle,
on Eunsoo's, even before she goes into the sow, he does a lot of thing on the pattern where they're very to the right. Like their weight is right over their right side as they're skating to the left. They're very leaned into the way that they're going to be in the air. It's a really peculiar / severe technique. That's why I don't think it'll work for Alexa and Chris if they work with him. But watch him on the pattern. There's a whole lot of Raphael-ness going on with the jumps that I don't think that we saw with Ashley, because it was so ingrained that he's putting more into. It's really interesting, but I don't know.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, this is a variation. This is clearly a strategy, and I was curious. Okay, because you answered that. That's a Ross approach, not a her approach. Okay.
Yeah. But I think the ladies event. Oh, shout out to the one that got away. That went to the Olympics that we stupidly released to go to compete for Switzerland, Alexia Paganini, who is such a lovely skater. And by the way, we miss you. Okay, Alexia? We miss you. I'm glad you got to go to the Olympics. At the same time,
you may still be able to do it for now another country.
You should have been out.
Yeah, exactly.
So pretty. Such a nice skater.
Beautiful skater. Great quality.
Oh, man.
Great packaging. Yeah.
Great packaging. Sorskaya, it's becoming difficult to watch, unfortunately, whatever's
and it
happening.
breaks my heart. This is what I'm going to have to start to let go because, man, when she came onto the scene, now people will cite these injuries, but this seems now it is snowballing into much more than an injury.
And I'm sure when a Terry writes you off, it has to be quite confidence breaking. When you look at the ones that have left, and they'll be like, well, that's why she got rid of her. Well, that has to be damaging in a whole nother way. So
because again, the sheer explosion and power and spring in her jumps of last season and the year before that she had the potential to do was so thrilling for me. But I've had to, like, for my own well-being during skating events, let go rooting for her because it's becoming upsetting.
So we need to give a shout out to our friend Deanna Stellato. And Deanna taught us a really important... someone says that Tanith fixed her pronunciation of Eunsoo thanks to TSL. Tanith also watches our... by the way, did you notice that after I interviewed Eunsoo that the ISU decided to do an article and it had some of the same quotes?
They just basically dictated your interview with her.
Jonathan, we have influence, okay? That was...
Well, you do, Dave.
I really felt like we had a vision of where the narrative in skating was going. You know, I love a narrative. And I was
when Eurosport quoted me once, I just looked around to my non-existent friends.
Mark Hanready loves you, okay? He could never love me as much as he loves you, and he's just you and Mark can just, you can go do
you have Sandra, so that's the real get.
Sandra, who's off at flamenco performances.
I know, with Dave Wilson and the gang.
Are you now, by the way, did you see that Sasha Plushenko now has a sparring partner who's a little bit better than he is? Are you watching it? And Yana Rudovskaya, who has...
Oh! Is he the one who skated to the Figaro that someone posted on my wall?
What? Sasha Plushenko's son? I'm talking about Plushenko's son is like the child star. I keep trying to get you to watch his Instagram, and I don't think that you believe me. And it is the most entertaining thing. By the way, he was interviewing Hanyu about his injury after the event. I don't know why you're not on the Sasha. You don't trust me sometimes, and you really need to. Okay, when I go on these asides, Sasha.
Well, you and I have a Venn diagram, and most of it intersects, but some
Sasha
of it
Plushenko is fascinating. This Instagram that he is he is the biggest star in all of skating in my mind.
Okay.
Did you see
now the kid I'm thinking of is a Russian kid, a 9-year-old Russian kid.
No, I don't think Sasha's that old. No, okay. Sasha's younger. But he was doing a single axle, single loop combination, and another blonde boy from Russia with a similar haircut was doing it, and they were doing them right after one another in the Angela Plushenko rink. Amazing. Okay.
And so it begins.
So it begins. I want a reality show. I want to watch Evgeny coach him. I am so here for this. He's performing in the Nutcracker with Sotnikova, Evgeny, and with Yulia. I mean, come on, Jonathan. Okay, but let's talk about our friend Hanyu breaking the world record in the short program, saving the quad toe, triple toe combination to the spread eagle to hide that little...
a little sneaky bit of choreography there, but you know what? I love
Zdorova, Moldiec, okay? It was so wonderful.
And the triple axel entry in that program is just I have to remember, the triple axel's coming. Just watch his feet. Just watch how incredible this whole entrance.
They took out those turns. And for those who watched the video, I felt like his spins deserved a little bit higher GOE than I gave him during the judging video. And he made me happy on the step sequence. I would give him the +5 for that. I would have done it. I wouldn't have done it in Helsinki, and I think he deserved it in Russia for that short program. I thought it was just spectacular. Now,
wait, did you start something about Deanna teaching you something?
Oh, yes. We'll go to the pairs next. Okay. Deanna taught us not to eat chicken curry on the plane, by the way.
I know, which I never would have done to begin with.
She said
you have to say you're gluten intolerant, and then they give you a...
So Deanna Stellato ate chicken curry on the airplane. She said about 3 to 4 hours later, she started having violent stomach pains. And then on the third flight to Russia, she was using everyone's barf bag in the row. Deanna.
How horrible to be trapped on an air. Snakes on a plane? Forget it. Food poisoning on a plane.
Food poisoning in Russia. So they pulled out because she said that she fell on a death spiral the morning of the free skate. And then Jim was posting like...
Dehydrated.
Did you see Jim's dramatic Instagram thing about like, if you miss someone, say hello? Jim, who like is too nervous to like say hello to anyone at a competition because he's stressing and socially has anxiety. Love it. That was the most hysterical thing. I love you, Jim, but you're a complete mess. Anyway,
but Nate did really, really well. That was
Nate landed that triple toe. I said, Deanna, you pull out. You let him go out on a high, okay? He landed that triple toe. Like, just who cares?
And a Deanna withdrawal is very different than a Karen Chen withdrawal, which I thought was highly offensive and rude and selfish, and because of her timing that she didn't allow someone else to do it. And it's very different than a Gracie withdrawal. Do you know what I mean? She was and to be in a different country like that and to try to be in the air would be just dangerous. I've had to do.
Did you see how sick she looked in the short program? Like I thought she was going to throw up on the ice. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and
she couldn't even have a bitchy expression. Like we didn't even see that. It was. Nate does well when he's the strong one of the two.
This is a thing that happens, and
he needs to be a man. He needs to go out there and be the stronger of the two partners.
The provider. Yeah.
I think having a strong woman. I don't think he's ready for it. I think he's old fashioned. Like. He needs to be like, all of a sudden Deanna was sick and he could land the jump. Do you notice that?
Yeah.
They've also been working with Cindy Capral. She's the coach that looks like she's been out tanning for 5 weeks before the program with no SPF and like very blonde hair. Yes. She's rather fabulous. But yeah, so that's, and then Ashley and Tim. So this is interesting that, by the way, we were going for men's and now we're going into Deanna. We'll go back to the men's then. Kane and Leduc skating through the throw. They were working with Nina Mosier for like a week and a half before this competition. Now, I wonder, do you think she tweaked things or like changed things? Like, what realistic way, if you're training for consistency and for added like bonus, to change things or alter things mid-competition, is that... And it looked like fluke mistakes.
I would find my own singing teacher, my private teacher in New York, like... There would be the kind of work you do when you're learning a role.
Yeah.
And then there'd be the kind of work if I flew in between performances and was like, can you help tweak this? You can't take out the foundation.
No.
You can't adjust it all that last minute. Your job is to maybe finesse a little bit and build up. Mm-hmm. And I think if you try to, and this was our conversation.
This is when you give that comment about the arms or hold your leg up after the jump. You're not going to teach them anything.
Finishing touches.
Yeah.
You can't rework something and expect it to.
I don't know if she did, but that would be the purpose of working with her, and just like not the time and not the expertise. But you know, this goes back to that.
Or a political allegiance, knowing.
But Nina wasn't in the kiss and cry with them. But I mean, well, she never goes when the program isn't good. Nina is so far away. Same thing with the Terry. When Terzhenbayeva skated, she didn't feel the need to go to the kiss and cry there either. Because
obviously Paulina didn't skate well on purpose.
Yeah. Well. Anyway.
Okay.
So, getting back, Kane Leduc, the free skate again, the under rotations from Ashley on the jumps. It's going to be, they have a ceiling international. They're going to probably be the second U.S. team right now at nationals. They're in line to get that unless Deanna and Nate can really pull off another gym nationals wonder or Delilah can get Tara and Danny death spiral levels. It looks like Ashley and Tim are currently the second best pair in the U.S. And there's a big wanting between first and second. There's a big difference for me. But it was an okay performance, but there's a lot to work on that's not improving from year to year. There are little things that are improving, but overall, the things that, the levels, the twist, the jumps, the under rotation, it's not really getting to be where it needs to go.
There's a limitation to how far it can go internationally, especially.
Yeah.
There's a limitation to the levels and things like that, and they're doing the best within the confines of what they can do, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you say, there's only so far it'll go.
Now, Tarasova and Morozov, they have such beautiful quality. She had an injury, went to the hospital to get stitches, I believe, in her chin, and then came back skated the free skate. That's brave. And I think that they did a good job. There's still a disconnect with them. The short program is a mismatch for me, but...
Oh, you don't like those the sheen red shirts from like Express for Men 1993 or something?
I'm confused. But
okay, so I have a couple of comments here.
Sure.
Because again, especially when you see the same competitors doing the same program, I think people who watch know kind of what we think about it. But I'm trying to hone in on a couple more details. Something that I enjoy about Stepanova and Bukin, which I'm aware are an ice dance team, the minute they start, now you can question the authenticity or beauty of their intense energy level. They have an intense energy level to them the minute they start and just put a hand out. There is so much energy in the hand. And I feel like Tarasova and Morozov just put a hand out. So I think if they could just be around Stepanova and Bukin and learn about what that physical expulsion of energy could feel like, it would wake the program up.
So they need to do the Edith Piaf rhythm dance. So da 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 da.
Yes. Give them a beat. I need coffee all over it. I need a caffeine infused program in here because everything else is right there. Because right now it looks like they're marking a rehearsal, like they're going through the motions to remember.
That's why I think that Vanessa and Morgan can beat them. I think that Sui and Han could beat them. They leave the door open and wanting. Yeah. It's somehow better than last year though, but it's still a ways away.
So now, given their size difference, he looked very handsome here. Given their pair size difference, and we watch different people grapple differently with the synchronization on the jumps. And sometimes it's clearly the team has been like, forget the synchronization, just get it out however you can.
Yeah.
So this one, they did the triple toe, double toe, double toe. Okay.
Which is always a struggle for them, the 3-jump combination.
Yeah, his especially was real tight on the last one, but it was interesting because they would take off. I mean, is it more important to you that they're taking off together or that they're landing together? Because it just seems like for this team, it's very difficult for them to do...
Well, Jonathan, if you start from shit, how are you going to get a good result? You want to take off together in a positive way. That's...
But now my question is she going to inherently land faster?
Oh,
they
have a similar rotational speed. We're getting into like hairs here.
Okay, it was just literally, I think it's an aesthetic choice, and it looked like they were making the energy...
I would rather you take off at the same time, have a slightly different landing, catch up, and then take off for the toe and the toe together.
Okay, because it looked like she was...
You can then fix it. You can fix it if you are... This is like Delilah technique if we're taking off at different times and hoping to land at the same time. I mean, come on.
Which is what it looked like. It literally looked like as she would delay it, it ensured they were landing together at the end.
Yeah, no, I'm not for that.
Yeah, so. I was like, this isn't doing it for me. Yeah. Okay.
I have feelings, and that's not positive.
Okay, great.
Matteo and Nicole Della Monica, so wonderful. The free skate doesn't bring out anything that makes them so special, but they're skating well, and I really enjoyed it. I mean...
Now, their unison, the spins, I think, especially in the short program, the camera got it just right because the camera put them in line with each other. So you saw them, behind one another spinning. And
their work with Elton John has really benefited them. Like, their work with Elton has really been, like, polishing some good things and bringing them to the next level. Yeah. Like, I felt like Valentina and Andre at a certain point couldn't compete. There was just inherent quality.
It's a slow burn to Matteo and Della Monica that it's going to slowly and truly keep improving. It's not as much a crapshoot, even though I know they didn't have a great outing last week. But this is the first Italian pair to ever make the Grand Prix Final.
Yeah.
So that's kind of fun.
Yeah. And I think overall, interesting with the Russian pairs, how interesting that Moskvina is working with Oleg Vasilyev again. He has had success as an Olympic coach, but they're working together again because she's passing down her knowledge to her student. We're going to have another viable coach with so much information, and he has his own intelligence and his own coaching ability, but that to me is really interesting, even though I don't love that program.
It's a seal of approval, right?
Yeah.
That kind of connection.
But it's just that extra... Mosfina still has more to say and share and give, and then they're working together, and it's an apprentice almost situation where, and it's that extra added thing that he can give as a coach, and such an interesting partnership. I'm all for it. I think she's brilliant. He's obviously very talented as well. So,
and a lot of their core technique is really solidifying itself. His posture and the lifts in particular is quite nice. And when she gets it right, she can really have a really beautiful free leg on the landings of the throws.
Yeah, they don't have the jumps yet, but that's the double axel.
And some edge stuff, because I don't know. I watched it on the Russian feed, but I don't know what the Americans are saying. But we grow so tired of hearing that roller skating comment. But I don't know if it's because there's still...
I'm talking about Vasilyev and Moskvina, and you're talking about Mateo Guariz.
Oh, I transitioned out. Out of Oleg.
You're talking about roller skating technique. I was like, yes, and they don't have the jump yet. I'm talking about Moskvina and Oleg's team skating to the Fellini program with the double axels that were a miss. So, Jonathan.
But Mateo's always on the mind, you see.
I was like, we're talking about Russians, and then we're roller skating. Was anyone else following? I was not there.
Yeah, no, I just never left Mateo, honey. Okay.
Oh, okay, I thought we had moved on.
We certainly had, and then I just went right.
All right. Anyway, wanted to touch on the ice dance thing. It was all about Stepanova and Bukin. Annabelle in this partnership, I would like it to end. I think in terms of her and I don't think it's working out. But they were here, and I still think they would have potential maybe with other people. So Stepanova and Bukin are getting all of the Russian points this year, but at the same time they are delivering, although she had quite off-time issue in the pattern that was... So she crosses her leg behind, and...
You're talking about Mateo, right?
Oh my God, Jonathan, stop kidding me. So Stepanova, on the key point, when she missed her leg, she's supposed to cross her leg behind, and she's supposed to hold for 4 on that edge. Done, 2, 3, 4. And you could see she almost bobbled it on the edge.
It was a total balance check. I thought she had gone down.
On a key point. Now, they went with a level GOE there, obviously, but that's what happened on the first key point of the pattern. But overall, they have a real sharpness to them, and their material is fresh. And yes, they are getting Russian inflation and skating well, Russia and the +5 and the Virtue and Moyer fans are going to be very upset about that world record, as will the French fans, and I understand, and I am with you, and at the same point, just Cizeron will compete next week, and then at the final, not the final, but later on in the season, don't worry about scores too much yet, but this team is probably going to land on the world podium, and that means that Hubble and Donahue need to work a lot harder to get something going.
That's the
and Piper and Paul.
I think they're great. I think their energy.
They're great in the short dance for me. The free dance is sloppy.
Free dance lacks, but what they have going for them and why they're able to trick people into giving them higher PCS is this intoxicating energy.
Yes.
Now, mind you, as a friend of mine said, it reminds you a little bit of sexy teens at the mall kind of intensity instead of a profound artistic one. Yeah. Like when Ilinik and Nikita did the Swan Lake in Sochi. It was very easy to understand, and it was very easy to see their intensity, so it's easy to reward them over
Le Petit Prince or whatever.
Yeah, which were doing something much more subtle, much more cultivated, and it just didn't land the same way. So this is a very obvious, infectious kind of skating they're giving you. Much more effective, I agree, in the rhythm dance than even with the bobble than in the free. But I think it's Hubble and Donahue. That's the pairing that's going to be tricky.
You can't be skating a program of music that's from the Michelle Kwan lesbian haircut era. That's 20 years ago. You know, that's 20 years
And
ago.
you're seeing people that are infusing, that are creating new momentum infused with energy and vigor. And that's, and Hubble and Donahue, with their strength and sweeping, enormous, powerful qualities, they can totally do it. It will just take a revamp. So I'm very interested to see their strategy towards.
I know, and she's wearing the tan skates, which reminds me of Roz and Katarina Witt in the professional era. It's a choice.
It's a bit dated. Now, a couple of things on the free dance specifically. Did someone say why he had a gaping opened wound on his neck during the entire free dance from the start? I didn't know if like something.
Was it a love bite?
A love bite with like a toe pick. I mean, like this looked like someone like literally.
No, I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe something happened in practice.
Yeah,
I didn't notice it, but okay.
Go back and look because it looked fresh. Like it was.
So maybe something happened on a lift in the warm up is what I would imagine then. Yeah. Exactly.
And I did not watch the warm up feed, so it well could have happened. They're having fun, and they have a quality of, hey, look what we can do.
They sell it. They sell it, and it's going to take them really far this season.
So. It's like a kid on a diving board.
And Rush
gets up there, and it's like, look at me, I'm going to show you something cool. And then they do, and that's intoxicating in ice dance.
Yeah. It's going to get on the world podium. It's telling you, it's going to get on the world podium. So that's one of the spots. The French are going to get one of the others. There's one spot for North America this year.
Yeah.
You got to choose wisely between, you're going to... And I think Hubble and Donahue, I think the silver is questionable by the end of the year because they're going to get all the Russian points and the momentum, and you know how this goes.
Right.
You know how this... And everyone's going to be in lockstep selling this.
Yeah.
And they are really strong in the pattern. And Hubble and Donahue have not been really strong in the pattern yet. That's the one thing that hurts them competing so early is when, yes, they win their Grand Prix, but they look at like 70%. And then you see this
give
team...
them this time to revamp it now that they...
I know, but I feel like they keep going into the final with like confused expectations. Like you already, in your mind, I'm already thinking that Stepanova and Bukin could beat them.
Oh, I think it's clear that that's where this is headed.
And I think that that's a mistake, doing the two events back to back.
But I think core quality is much better with Hubble and Donahue, but it's clear that the trajectory, unless they have changed, unless they have used this time, which could work to their benefit. Same thing even when someone mentioned about Medvedeva, like, will she get the final, will she not? Well, if she doesn't, she gets
we're going to see a double axel triple loop, I believe, is planned next week from her. And they're getting rid of the second flats in the free skate, so...
So you have to also know that it's not like they just like keep doing the same thing in all this training time. So I hope that they have taken this time to heart and really gone back to the drawing board on things.
So yeah.
And my favorite moment of Bukin's free dance is the choreographed spin move. It's so perfectly timed with the music, and it's so cool. And I'm just like.
And Tarasova is like, I told all of you for years, this is the best team in Russia. You know,
No, but guess what? I have always been interested in them, even before they were really factors. They were always an interesting team to watch. I always preferred them over Bobrova and Sofia.
And Timo Yunick has always hated them. They've hated them, and they hate that Tarasova loves them. When she was with Ruslan, oh my goodness, Timo Yunick hated Stepanova and Bukin. And they're like, that girl's not a good skater. And they're like,
she's beautiful.
She's beautiful.
And they're tall.
They like hate them as much as they hate Victoria and Nikita. Just letting you know. Yeah. Timo Yunick. By the way, we would invite her to the World Pro because we're going to invite Tessa and Scott. We're going to invite Meryl and Charlie. We're going to invite the Shibutanis. And then we would invite Yunick with Soloviev. And it would be like a Maya Evgeny Platov invitation. That's what's going to happen there. And the ladies' event, we're inviting Yulia. We're inviting Adelina. We're inviting Ashley Wagner. We're inviting, I wrote it down. We're inviting Mao and Yuna. We're inviting Mao and Yuna. We're inviting Michelle Kwan just to skate one of those programs. She doesn't even have to compete, just as to enter the event, like as a palate cleanser while we're serving.
Michelle Kwan sorbet.
Sorbet, yes. A sorbet is a palate like between events. Michelle's going to skate to some sad, depressing, beautiful music. And we can invite Mao and Yuna. Really pay out the money, like appearance fee money, just to come, and then maybe Arakawa, and that's how we're gonna get this, and we're gonna market it to all of the different TV networks. So this is how we're gonna fund it. It'll be the black tie, But we have to have something Japanese behind us so that we can get that sponsorship. Not the toe fungus ad. That's not the...
That's a tough one.
Okay.
Even if it foots the bill.
We're going to invite Plishenko, Lambiel, Fernandez, Jeff Buttle, Johnny Weir, so he's not commentating. And I think that Takahashi and Oda. And that's what we're doing. Yagudin can commentate for Russian TV with Tarasova. Otherwise, Tarasova, we can pay her to judge. But that's what we're going to do. Irina Ribbons is going to produce this with us because she's scary and gets things done. And I'm afraid of her, but love her at the same time. So...
Your attention to hypothetical detail is second to none, and I think you deserve like some real kudos for really seeing this through.
I'm telling you what we could do. And Sandra could commentate and be like, I don't think they know what the other lady... Oh, and this is under 6-0, by the way. No professional skater is coming and doing an IJS spin, okay? Ashley couldn't do the IJS spins when she was competing at the Olympics. We're not going to have her do an IJS spin.
Well, even remember, Yuka was like, I used to love doing footwork. She's like, it's barely a level 1 at this juncture. Like...
So anyway, Yuka can commentate for the Japanese feed. I think she'd be great. Anyway. Oh, Jeremy Abbott, by the way, we could invite him in to skate as well. He's... fantastic. He could do one of those Benoit programs with like the hood to Nathan's music. That was a choice, but yeah, that. Anyway, I really liked the programs that he did for Gracie, just from a choreographic standpoint. I thought it brought her to the next level. Someone said she no longer looked like a pogo stick on the ice. Like she really had highs and lows, and it was interesting. I was worried she was going to fall during the footwork, but I thought that it was a really beautiful structural performance and had depth to it. I thought it had movement quality, and I thought it really elevated her to the next level, I have to say. So I hope that we get to see that program maybe in about 6 to 8 months. So I think it would be spectacular.
Yeah.
So moving to the men's event here, Hanyu, though, has...
I'm sorry, can I delay it 1 second? Because I have questions for you. I know when you were doing a beautiful transition, I was giving you all the GOBN. Okay. Carrera and Ponomarenko.
Yeah.
And even with Sarah Hurtado, when we saw Hubble and Donahue many years ago, the potential is obvious. You see how it can grow and why it will be. Same with, who's age of... Oh, Hawaii and Baker, and I said, and Papadakis and Cizeron. Back a million years ago. You knew it was not there yet, but you could see it was going somewhere. So with this team, I guess I didn't understand in this instant. I don't know how to feel if this is a team with potential or if we're kind of enjoying our moment.
I've heard that we need to pray for this to happen because Anthony has such personality and it's going to entertain us on such a level that we need to just pray that he is so perfect for figure skating stardom in so many ways, from the famous parents to the wild boy persona to just, we need to pray and hope, and that she can get her immigration situation in order now, that with years to come, we need to pray for this. They do think that they have potential. They need more discipline and work, and this was a huge early Grand Prix medal that wouldn't maybe happen in a normal situation, but good on them, and you take it and you run with it, honey. And Phil Hirsch, don't be damning them when they don't medal next year. I know you don't really watch ice dance, but that's what you would do into the ladies with like Kimmy Meisner's like accidental world title, and then being like, well, she held a fourth the next year. Being like, well, that was like the stars aligned in a way that we could never like...
Yeah, she wasn't setting a precedent. Yeah. My other question for you was about Sarah Hurtado.
Sarah Hurtado, yes.
If you thought that this team will continue to outscore Smart and Diaz.
I don't know. Who's on the judging panel? Okay,
you're finding this a judging panel situation.
I think they both have good qualities and on the day, and I actually enjoy both teams. This is so political, and you have two political masterminds working between Marie France and between Julien. So yeah, who is on the panel? That is a very valid question.
But is Spain still only allowed to send one team?
Don't they get one team this year? I think.
That's what's unfortunate, because I'm curious how it.
I don't want to say the wrong thing here. Sorry, people. Jonathan asks me some questions sometimes that I don't have. That's not in my notes, and I'm like.
Just because you know all the things, so then
I know, but sometimes my knowledge is like.
at capacity with Landover facts.
Well, Landover was where it was at, Jonathan, and I think that you needed to be more appreciative. Okay, next year, I Googled, in the dance event, the US, Canada, and Italy get 3. By the way, this is why people believe that Shay and Caroline are like head casing it this season, because Canada's 3 spots are going to go likely to Piper and Paul, Weaver and Poje, and then the new Canadian Danish team, Nikolai and yeah. So that's because they just got that huge score at the competition this weekend. They believe that that's why Caroline and Shane have had so many bad competitions in a row. And then France and Russia both get 2. So Spain only gets 1. So this is going to be a really interesting thing.
So that's why I'm curious. I mean, sure, who's on the panel, but my question is who's on the panel? I mean,
who's on the panel?
Panel at nationals.
I don't know. And who's on at Zagreb if they both go? I mean, that's where I'm at.
Can they both? I'm sorry, Dave. I should just stop asking obscure questions. Do you think then that both are able to go to Europeans?
Oh my goodness, Jonathan. So let's look at the Europeans.
Because it's randomly. These are
Remember last year only one could go to Europeans, and I was confused.
And that's why it confused me, because what I had hoped was that they could have both gone to Europeans last year and duked it out.
I forgot. We need to. If we're going to ask these questions, okay. So no, Spain gets 2 in ice dance, so we'll see them both at Europeans. So
I'd love to see them duke it out at Europeans. I'm intrigued because it's such a different approach.
By the way, I hope you're impressed by how quickly I pulled that up. I just
but
like.
The thing is, I know you do. That's why it's like I could feel like I could ask the world and you'd have it at your fingertips in no time.
That's research skills, people. All right, let me tell you. All right, so.
About the men.
I know. Last night I tried to make a dating profile for my friend, and I pulled a picture off of his Facebook and cropped it and enhanced it, and he was like, "Where did that happen?" He's too shy for such things. Michael McDonald, who you love, by the way, who loves Jonathan.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
He was very nice.
I know, nice older boyfriend. So, let's get back to the men's event here. Hanyu hurt his ankle on the quad loop in the practice in the morning, and then he left. So it looks like it aggravated, but he wants to compete at the final, so he should be okay, hopefully, and hopefully we'll see him at the final, and hopefully it's, some icing and rest. What do they call it? Rice. Rest, ice, what is the S? And then elevation. What's the S? Rice, sorry. What is it? Rice, and I'm spelling rise. When you hurt your ankle and they say the 4 things. Oh, Jonathan.
I could help you get over laryngitis, but I can't help you with an ankle injury.
It's the 4 things. Someone write it down. I'm blanking on what the C is. Anyway, that's what. Hopefully, we'll see him in a couple of weeks at the final, and he'll be doing great. So, but I thought
because it's epic at this. I mean, it is. Whenever Simon at Eurosport, mm-hmm. I did listen to the Hanyu performances mm-hmm. on Eurosport. Simon is really off the deep end, and he needs.
It's time to go.
It's time to rein him back in.
Replace him with Mark. Why do we need the guy to do the regular announcing?
To incorrectly call everything. I mean, this is the guy that said Plushenko was going to win in Vancouver after the thing, and then it was Chris that had to be like, no, that's not what's going to happen.
He was so confused by the calls and the quad and the triple and the axle, and he was really just during Kolyada's performance.
And starts inciting the idea that there's judging controversy when really there isn't. And the thing is, in skating there can be. So don't cry wolf when it's not even there.
Oh my goodness, the Hanyu fans. One of them was going off about Lori Parker. By the way, I went to the source to ask her actually what she thought about Hanyu with the Olympics. She thinks he's a great skater. Anyway.
Everyone does. But it is like the short program at this. I mean, it's getting next level. That it's so incredible that these things are being able to be done. And I only kind of noticed a ginger protection of the ankle towards the end of the program.
Yeah,
it was the only time as I rewatched.
But he still did the quads that were such beautiful. You could tell he was rearranging the program, and they were even pointing out the transitions need to be there for when he competes against Shoma and Nathan later on in the season. That's the other thing. But the program is so stunning.
He's really hitting a stride. We are really in
a peak. This ankle injury could be a blessing in disguise because he looked on track to peak at the Grand Prix Final, and then to peak again at Worlds is very difficult. Remember, he peaked at the Grand Prix Final in the 2015-2016 season, and then he tried to get back up for Worlds, and he did peak in the short, but the free skate didn't have the magic there because it's so hard to peak twice. So hopefully we'll see him.
The kinds of performances he is giving are most other people's once-in-a-lifetime.
That's what we're saying. I think he's entirely capable of setting more world records. But in realistic what someone can do in a season, he's at such next level performances. Although I think that he can give several great programs to go. So I'm excited to see what we're going to see because... And the poos and the fans, and we were very happy about the performance. So it was...
And I'm sure someone knows, like, I'm sure, in Moscow, does he have, like, a foundation or something that gives those, like...
They give them to hospitals, you know.
Yeah, because it seems like such an unusual...
And Tarasova was standing for him, and she was, oh, yes. She's very happy. By the way, when someone does really well and she likes the skater, she thanks them at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Spasiba, Alina Zagitova. Spasiba.
Well, didn't he give her a hug?
Yes.
Yeah, there was like full-blown like that. Again, another huge seal of approval because you had Kolyada there, so you can't pull for him if he's not going to deliver. So.
And I like when people say, that you could hear by the Flower Girls when the Zagitova was getting off the ice, they were saying, "Молодец, Alina Zagitova, молодец." They say the full name like, "Good job, Jonathan Byer, good job." It was like I was like, wow. That usually in the U.S. we just say good job. So.
Yeah. I like that personal touch.
I did. I liked it as well. It was very specific, and I felt the personality. Yeah.
Exactly.
How about Kvitishvili doing well here by accident? Because it
was a tough watch, Dave, and I had to come back to it several times.
By the way, I think that Hanyu will be okay. I'm taking this very positively because he was able to skate. I think I'm encouraged. You know, I don't think
and he has navigated through very tricky injuries before. It's clear he takes them seriously and knows how to.
Baby Plashenko was very concerned and interviewed him about it. So I feel like that was the first-class journalism, and I was okay. Yes, you need to get on board with Baby Plashenko.
I will check it out. I promise.
All right. I'm just telling you. And go down that rabbit hole. Kazuki Tomono. Why do the Japanese love Irish music so much? Not quite sure what the love is of river dance and that type of style, but he does bend his legs in the air, but there's such a nice quality about his skating that I really like him. Unfortunately, my heart is with Takahashi, so I think that we may not be able to send him to the Worlds, but I really do love him as well, and I just want him to straighten his legs so he could spend some time in the desert with Frank Carroll as well. Just straightening out those legs, and also, Jonathan, everyone needs to go watch that John Curry documentary.
I love that documentary. I love it.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Kazuki Tomono needs to watch that stretch of John Curry in the air, and then do that on his jumps, and then he'll be just fine, okay? He'll be amazing, okay? Taras will be standing for him, and I like him. I like his skating overall. So, do you like?
And I still, the one I like them so much is, and it's making me. I thought maybe we were going to have a different season this year.
For Kolyada? I know. I think he needs to go to Raw full time. I think that this needs to happen. There's something in the preparation, whether it's mental, but like it's such a head game in skating. So you could do all of the programs and still not feel prepared. But the popping issue to me says that something is happening in the training. That this second guessing.
So well.
Yeah.
So I mean, and it's been one of those things we've been hearing about his exquisite technique for years, and
he really should be challenging to be the best skater in the world. He has. Honestly, he should be Hanyu's biggest competition. It should be.
His jumps are beautiful, and it just must be a focus thing.
His Carmen is 20,000 times better than Zagitova's. It's.
Let us enjoy it. And there's such fine quality there. So was his first the B, the senior Bs that he was doing so well on? You think it was because of the juxtaposition of having just worked with Ross?
I'm not sure. I don't know what's going on there. But I would be curious to watch it. I mean, I just think something needs to be changed in the preparation. And he seemed to be doing better this summer. And
It used to be a material problem from my standpoint, and the material is so much better this year. And again, it's all right there. And he's one that
we need him to go to Roth, because if he gets better with Roth, then we'll have Nathan, who got an Acura recently. Nathan was like, stop doing homework, eating chips late at night, stressing me out with, with that haircut. And Nathan will all of a sudden get the pretty hair again, get the Vera Wang costumes back on, and be doing well. And I think that this is what we need to happen. We need to, like, subtle threatening.
I love him, and I'm
if
still...
If Orser took this one on, oh my goodness, that would never be allowed to happen. Okay? Like, we couldn't...
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If it starts lining up at some point, it will have been worth the wait.
Yes. It's so... The quality is so there. So we want to know, what did you think about this Rostelecom? What are your thoughts on everything?
Who was your favorite skater at Landover?
Who was your favorite skater at Landover? And who are we inviting for the pair event? That's the one I didn't think through and write down. Oh, I was thinking Aliona and Megan and Eric, but I don't know who else. Oh, Tatiana and Max. Do we invite a fourth? Who are you thinking for Landover? Obviously, it's black tie. Can we still do the cloth on the side, or do we need the ads from the other countries?
Oh, it's easy. I think you make Aliona compete twice. Have her do a program with Robin and a program.
I would like that. Yes.
Because really, she is her only competitor.
Or could we put Aliona in the ladies' singles as well? Did you see her skating with Big China? Did you see her skating with Big China?
China was like, we know a gold mine when we see it. Come here.
She taught them how to do a throw flip, which they had never done before. So, God, I love her so much. She's just like all the things right now. Yes. Well, as Aliona would want us to do, and Nancy Kerrigan and Landover, hold an edge and look sexy. Bye, guys.